Every day you go into the newsroom, it's going to be a different day. You'll be telling us stories from a house fire, a family who lost their whole life there. Next day, telling a story, someone trying to raise funds to get a new liver for someone. Every day is just so different, especially in different communities you're in. There isn't another story that's more important than the other. They're all just as important because they're all trying to reach that community. It's local news, but it's really just about finding that story that can make a difference. So it takes one neighbor raising their voice. The next day, you'll see the city filling up that platform.
This episode is sponsored by AI, your superpower. If your business feels stuck or overwhelmed, the answer isn't working harder. It is working smarter with AI. Take our free personalized assessment, the AI Opportunity Finder, and discover exactly how AI can save you time, boost profits, and simplify your operations. Plus, get our exclusive AI toolkit to help you start fast. Visit start.aiyoursuperpower.com to find your best AI opportunities and book your free discovery call. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to Happiness by Habit, where we believe joy is a skill and is 100% learnable. Today's guest brings that joy to life through her words, her work, and the way she uplifts community through storytelling. I'm thrilled to welcome a journalist, a trailblazer, and a true connector of cultures, Althea Castro de la Mata. She's born in Miami, raised in Lima, Peru, and now reporting from WKBW in Buffalo, New York. Althea has made it her mission to shine a light on voices that go often unheard, from political science to primetime news. She's been on a mission to inform, empower, and represent, especially for the Hispanic community. Althea, welcome to Happiness by Habit.
Hello, thank you so much for having us. I'm really excited to be here. I've seen your work, obviously, over the last couple of months and how much it's grown, and I'm proud and honored to be here today. Thank you so much.
I'm so excited to have you. Let's start at the beginning. How did your multicultural upbringing between Lima, Miami shape the storyteller you are today?
I think it's really been nonstop from day one. Obviously, I was born and raised in Miami. I was there for a few years until I turned 11. And then a fully, plot twist, my parents wanted to move back to Peru because they're Peruvian and, just start a life there. And I had a lot of family there, so that was nice, but it was a whole different ballpark, basically, just starting there. I'm thankful I knew a lot of Spanish because my parents spoke Spanish, but it was nice just kind of making friends there, being back with family, starting a whole different lifestyle, going to school there. I went from going to middle school in Miami to now going to basically, high school in Peru. So it was a whole different game, but I'm thankful for that because it kind of did open my mind a lot into what I wanted to do. I was born, basically watching the news. So I really knew that was where I wanted to head towards too. And being in a country like Peru and the US as well, where you can be a voice for people, and especially in Peru, where, a lot of times the justice system isn't the way we want it to be, right? So being that voice for the community, for the people who may be a little voiceless in a way, that was nice to be able to represent them. I haven't really practiced in Peru yet, but that's something that I do have in mind, knowing that I lived a big part of my life there. So that would be a life goal of mine. But even watching it from afar and following what's going on there is definitely something that can help me out.
Absolutely. And because of your upbringing, your both your English and your Spanish are perfect. So that's really, really special. L-
Thank you.
Let's, yeah, of course. Let's talk about your journey. You have worked both in Corpus Christi, Texas, and now in Buffalo. What's been the biggest learning curve as you've grown your career across such different communities?
Well, like you said, they've been such different communities. I went from working in so close to the Mexican border to now working so close to the Canadian border, right? So it's completely opposite.
Oh, that's right.
Weather-wise as well has been a really big challenge. Corpus Christi, you being in Texas, you know how hot Texas can get. And, being in Miami and then Peru, like such tropical-ish weather sometimes, now being in the cold, working out there can be a challenge, but it's different. It's nice being able to adapt to that. It's nice to say that I've lived in that weather and know how it can go. And now I know what cold really means, right? For us. I think yesterday we were saying how cold for us is like 50 degrees. That's like our summer over there, right? So that's been one of the
Right.
biggest struggles and one of them. But besides the weather, going and telling stories. I think being in Miami and then, Peru and then now Texas, where it's such, Hispanic tight knit communities. You see a bunch of different cultures everywhere. It's like melting pots. The whole US is a melting pot. But when it comes to different communities, Buffalo does have its Spanish community, but it's not as big as what you would see in Miami. Like in Miami, you're better off speaking Spanish and speaking English most places, right?
That's
So
right.
being
Yeah.
in Buffalo, where I haven't met as many people where I can share I can share my I can share my culture and stuff. Obviously, I always want to do that, but it's somewhere where you don't see as much as what you'll see if you're in Texas or Miami. But I am proud to say they do have a community there, a Hispanic community, a lot of Puerto Ricanos going on there too. So it is nice to still have that there. But one of those struggles was, like I told you yesterday, a lot of it was I was doing Spanish reporting in Corpus Christi because we have Telemundo as well. So I was able to do Spanish and English, as to where now it's more on the English route, English reporting, which I still love, but I don't have a chance to do as much because, you won't see that much of population there. So it's been a different environment in a way, and a change. I'm so grateful for both opportunities. It was nice being able to do a lot of Spanish reporting while I could in Corpus, and I know that my goal is to continue doing both, right? Reporting for both communities, especially knowing that I have the chance to do that. So I have the chance to get to both communities. So I think that's my goal as my career advances further.
That's wonderful. Definitely, that sounds like the right way to go. Let's talk about your purpose through storytelling. What inspired you to pursue journalism as your career? You're known for telling stories with heart and integrity. Also, I would like to know, how do you decide which stories matter most?
Really, every day you go into the newsroom, any newsroom you go to, it's going to be a different day. You'll be telling us stories from a house fire, a family who lost their whole life there, to the next day telling a story, a human interest story, something that recently just opened up, or someone trying to, raise funds to get a new liver for someone, or you're just starting different GoFundMe. Every day is just so different, especially in different communities you're in. Really, there isn't another story that's more important than the other. They're all just as important because they're all trying to reach that community. It's local news, but it's really just about finding that story that can make a difference, right? Because it's nice telling the story, but then what's that person going to get out of it? Like, a lot of times I've done stories where someone, like I said, is looking for a new liver, a liver transplant. And, it's hard. You're on the list, you're waiting. Besides just getting funds to cover for hospital bills, it's more about, finding that match, right? So it's about doing the story. The story gets all this, all these shares, all these views. And the next day, the person already has a match, a donor, because they were able to see that story and they were able to make a difference, right? Or it can be something as little as potholes, right? The city isn't doing much on potholes, especially in Western New York. I feel like in Texas too, a lot of potholes everywhere, right? And the city, even though they're trying to, they might not get to every single pothole in the city, right? So it takes one neighbor raising their voice, their concerns as to what's going on. And the next day you'll see the city filling up that pothole, right? So it's kind of stories that really you'll know that will have a good impact and will have a good turnaround, and their voices will be heard. That's the whole point of what we do, right? We're not just out there with the camera. Besides finding that good story, it's about making that impact and being that person that can tell them what's good, and what they can do with the story they told.
But yeah, that must be so powerful to know that you can make a difference in the lives of the people of the story you're telling. That's really, really special. Let's talk about the different stories. You have covered many stories. Is there a one story you've reported that left a deep mark on you personally?
There's so many stories that I've done in the short span of my career. It's been a little over 3 years of reporting every other day, every day, in different communities. There's been some that, that you're proud of because you made a difference. Especially like the ones like the liver story I told you, right? And a
Oh,
few
yeah.
days, in a matter of a few days, she had her donor. But it can be stories from, there's house fires all the time, especially in the winter and stuff. And these people lose everything they have. And they have their GoFundMe's, and their GoFundMe does a really good job. They're able to recover most of it. And it's not even fun wise. People just also donate things they have. They want to help out in a way. So it's nice to see the community come together and be able to bridge that gap between them, and see them all be in a way where they can help each other out. You still see some faith in humanity with these stories like these, which is nice. Also stories like, there was this one time last year, a really, really sad story because, a mother had lost her kid due to an accident, right? So there's sad, tragic stories, but knowing that she was Puerto Rican, she spoke mainly just Spanish, but I was able to still tell her story, keep her her kid's legacy going for us. He was a 9-year-old kid, 8-year-old kid, and lived such a short life, but she was able to tell that through her voice. And I was able to make sure, not only raise awareness as for safety, when kids are walking back and for people to be more aware, but to also, tell it through her voice, even though it was mainly in Spanish. I was able to use my Spanish skills and still tell that story to the community there in Western New York. So it's a bunch of different stories that really come together in a way that have an impact, even though it's in a different way, but you were able to use your skills what you know to make sure it gets out there and it's told in a way that people need to hear.
Wow, love it, love it, love it.
Thank
You've
you.
navigated through big moves, new cities, pressure-filled newsrooms. What are some of your happy habits that keep you centered?
I think like you just said, right? A lot of times, in any job, right, there's pressure, there's high standards, there's deadlines, there's a lot going on throughout the day where you feel like there aren't enough hours in the day. That time just goes by so fast, and you want to make sure what you're turning in is also, besides the content, to quality too, right? A way that you can tell it in an interesting way, in a creative way, in a more sensitive way, depending on how it needs to be delivered, right? But I have learned that over time, really stress won't get you anywhere, right? There's ways of managing with stress and just taking it day by day and hour by hour, right? I mean, sometimes situations are, especially working in breaking news, the situation's just out of your hands. You can't really do much besides, trying to get to the story as fast as you can, getting information as fast as you can. Yeah, moving fast will get you there quicker, but also making sure you're taking care of yourself and knowing that there's only so much you can really do throughout the day and throughout the time that can get you as far. So making sure you know what you can do and not overworking yourself, because at the end of the day, you come first, especially working somewhere where you can kind of get numb in a way to situations like, breaking news, things happening throughout the day where you think about it, you're back home one day and then, you're not, you're always going to be a journalist, right? But you kind of need to turn off that switch and see, what, like who goes first in the situation? What can I do to take care of myself and not always be just on the go 24/7?
Oh, yeah, that must be very important. Definitely. That's a priority.
Yeah, having a balance,
Yes, balance is key. Definitely. As a bilingual Latina journalist, what do you think media needs more of today and how you are helping bridge that gap?
I think the Latino community, has come a far way. Today, we see journalists, Hispanic journalists, more than even before, right? If it's not on TV, you'll see them on social media, on different type of platforms. And I think we have come a long way, especially now during times where many of us, it's very polarized times, a lot going on. You see a lot of things in the media as well. I think I am proud of how far we've come, and even if it's like, for example, smaller communities like Western New York, you still see Spanish speaking people, you still see the community together, Latino community together. Even having luncheons and stuff. If it's if it's not one way, it'll be the other way, right? And even if it's through social media, like I said as well, I think it's important to always make sure that we're in one way or another, depending on what community you're in, always trying to show where you're from, being able to represent yourself, sharing your community. I'm always so proud of being, Peruvian and sharing all the food, different types of foods we have and different cultures and everything. Just sharing that, making sure that wherever you go, you kind of leave your mark, small or big, but that way they know that you can make that difference and they can see how far you've really come.
Absolutely. And as a Peruvian, I feel very proud of you, Altea. That is awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I would love this. We're in the second season of this podcast, and it's called AI Your Superpower. So I would love to learn how you are using AI in your life, your work.
Absolutely. I think AI honestly is fantastic. If you're using it in the right way, if you learn a certain way you want to use it, for me it's more like it's more depending on my day. There's some stories that are harder than others, some stories that this can help you make that process faster as well. Like for a lot of times that if I'm out in the field and I need to figure something out with what's going on with my story or how I can tell it a certain way, especially when you're driving long distances, there'll be times where I'm driving an hour and a half in the car. That hour and a half, I can probably use it. I can't be on my phone the whole entire time, but then I can get to my story, save some time, see what I could have done in the meantime, how I can tell it in a more creative way. Um, Using it in a way because at the end of the day, I think a lot of people have a wrong concept of AI. They think it's, a lot of people think it might replace some jobs and stuff like that. But honestly, it's a tool. You're using it in your everyday life. It can be used from, small things for her to simplify a headline, from, telling her how I can tell the story in a more, creative way, or how can I make it more clear in a way where people can understand it. A lot of times these stories are complex stories that sometimes even for me, I'm like, how can I tell it to them where in my head it can sound so clear, so concise when you're listening on the news or on an article and it's so confusing, right? So you want to make sure it can get to all audiences and they can understand it. And a way that this can help is for them to, use it as a tool where I can tell it and it can clear up some confusion and in going from there, right? I feel like every day you never really finish learning with AI. You kind of learn along with it. And that's what's really been going on. Every day it's a different way that I can use it. I can adapt to it. And the whole newsroom, right? We see it every day. I feel like in college, it was more that we didn't have that in college, right? So now I went back to homecoming a few weeks ago and my teachers were telling me how they're already using it in school, right? Because they know they're not going to escape it. They're going to go right into the newsroom and they're probably going to use it again. So it's better to incorporate it early on because they're going to use it eventually than to fully avoid it, right? So it's something that we have at our hands right now. It's something we can take advantage of. Using it the right way will only take you further. So, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. So, what is next for you, Althea? Any dream stories, cities, or projects on your vision board?
I'm always on the go. If you were to interview me, I think a year ago we were together, and Buffalo was not on my radar at all. Right? I'm always so open minded to going anywhere. You never know. Maybe I'll stay in Buffalo for the next 4 or 5 years, or maybe my time there comes to an end, and I want to explore somewhere closer to home, as in Miami or somewhere warmer in a way. But I'm open to anything. I feel like this career really can take you anywhere. So, and it's nice too being able to know that you're not stuck somewhere. You can always have your eyes out for anywhere you can go on the horizon. So it's nice to know that I can end up in Hawaii next year, right? Depending on what happens. But I love to travel. So I'm not close to the idea of just staying in one place. I know anything can happen in the next 6 months, the next year. Just life, sometimes with your career can take you anywhere. So, but for me, it's more about growing professionally as well. Besides moving anywhere else to tell those stories, I think it's nice being in an area where you can not only represent the Latino community, but also, grow in storytelling. I want to focus more on telling more in-depth stories too. I mean, think a lot of the times with journalists, with, reporters, you're telling stories you tell in a day. It's like a day term story. I think for me, a goal for me is to tell more in-depth stories. That way I can get not only better at telling those, but having more time where you can focus on what details to tell, how to tell it, and how you can make that difference, right? So that's definitely something I do want to do later on. But yeah, anywhere, where this career might take me.
Absolutely. That sounds exciting, Althea. Okay, just for fun, we're gonna do a quick rapid fire round. I'm gonna ask you a
Okay,
couple of questions and you tell me the first thing that comes to mind, okay?
okay.
Are you a morning reporter or a night owl?
Oh, definitely more of a night owl. I think for me, like just waking up in general in the morning might be a struggle for me. But there are shifts, for example, that I haven't had to work those, thank goodness, as of right now. That, as a reporter, will start at 3 in the morning, or the anchors who start at 3 in the morning. I'm like, oh my goodness, I could not be doing that. But sometimes you have no other choice. But if it were for me, I would do the night side ones more because that way I can sleep in, get some things out in the way, and then just go from there.
That sounds good. Favorite Peruvian dish?
We were just talking about this. I'm an expert at making causa. I love making
Oh,
causa.
yeah.
I think it's the easiest thing for me to make, but I've always liked it. So me encanta la causa. And then also conchas a la parmesana, which I just made too. So that's one of my
Oh
favorites.
my
I need to get
gosh.
more into ceviche. I like ceviche. Lo paso, but I've just never been una fanática como everyone else in Peru.
Yeah, like
I'm
I cannot wait to
picky.
try yours.
I
The
know, mi
dishes.
causa. I'll make a good causa,
Yeah, I
yes.
want to try it. Yes. Okay, let's talk about a journalist you admire deeply.
I think in school, a lot of times they let us watch like more human interest stories. So a lot of times I still watched him, Steve Hartman. He's really good with the way he tells his stories. You can tell he has more time to tell them as well. He's traveling. It's more human interest stories and how they make a difference, which kind of restores the faith in humanity as well. So to this day, I watch all of his work. But if it comes to like Hispanic people representing la cultura hispana, Jorge Ramos, right? We've known for so many years. Started doing Spanish music. Now he's doing Spanish news. Now he's doing English. So that's kind of nice to see how much the Latino community is growing too.
I love it. One word to describe your reporting style.
I think depending on whatever I'm doing during the day, a lot of the stories are more community oriented, right? So anything that has to do with human interest, the community, a lot of it's guided through that. So, and I love those stories because they're the ones that do make a difference as well. Every story counts, every story matters, but these stories are the ones that they need us to be that voice for them, like I was saying earlier. So it's nice to have that, be able to tell those stories through them or for everyone to see in the communities.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, I would like to close this interview with an advice that you could give to the young Latinas who want to find their voice and use it on big platforms.
Absolutely. I think nowadays it's I want to say it's easier in a way because we can just do it on all these social media, TikToks, Instagram, all these different, like even a podcast, right? We have that opportunity to not just wait for the opportunity to come. You can just do it yourself at any time and to be your own voice. It's never too late. It's never too early either. So the sooner you start telling your story and what matters most to you and representing us, right? At the end of the day, we're all in this together and we're trying to represent the Latino community, big in a big way, which is important because we've come so far already. So to start as soon as they can, to believe, right? A lot of times where you get discouraged, different reasons, and I think that and I'm even guilty of that too. Sometimes, there's so much going on. There's so much going on in life where there's the different paths you take sometimes. But as long as you're grounded, you have a clear mindset and idea to go towards you, just to go for it, right? And then I feel like it'll take one turn out of the other, but you'll learn from that. It'll be a learning curve and to not just give up as easily, right? So as age comes as well, I feel like I'm still learning every single day. And I think that'll be one of the events, being a journalist, right? So we'll make mistakes, but just to keep moving on, keep moving forward. And I think that's what's going to make us stronger in a way and teach us. We live and we learn.
I love that. Absolutely. That makes a difference. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Altea. You're a breath of fresh air. And you're a
Thank
journalist
you.
with a purpose and a big heart, un corazón gigante. Thank you
Yeah,
for being in the show, querida Altea.
absolutely. Thank you for having us. I'm glad. Finally, there you go.
Oh, yes,
I'm so happy to
absolutely.
be here.
Made it happen. Thank you for reminding us that the storytelling is just one of the most powerful ways to create change, celebrate our culture, and to build bridges between communities. To our listeners, if you want to follow more of Altea's inspiring journey, make sure to catch her on WKBW Buffalo and connect with her online. Support the voices that lift others. Until next time, I am Silvana Pimentel, and remember, success isn't just about what you do, it's about how you show up. Thank you so much and see you next time.
Thank you.